know that they're going to stop paying SNAP benefits on November 1st. But I want to tell you the story that you're not going to hear on the news. The one where the Trump government shutdown wasn't a mistake. It is the blueprint. This government shutdown, it isn't just a thing that happened. This is the plan, a step-by-step plan to see exactly how far this government can push people before they break. That plan, you might know it as Project 2025. Because guys, when I tell you that they are running this play by play straight from that book. In Chapter 10, they address the USDA. And it literally talks about how to dismantle SNAP piece by piece. Step 1, move SNAP out from under USDA and put it under HHS, Health and Human Services. That way they can push all the welfare services under one umbrella, making them easier to streamline and cut. Step 2, eliminate the USDA. Yes, that's the program that runs the SNAP program. Step 3, slash the $120 billion budget by reversing Biden-era benefit increases. And Project 2025 says we'll cut it using the excuse of efficiency. Step 4, bring back super strict rules, especially for adults without kids, ages 18 to 49. And expand general work rules for anybody from 16 all the way to 59. That means that millions could lose benefits overnight. Yes, guys, this even includes children in those households. And humiliation isn't the side dish, it's the main course. They're also closing loopholes for broad-based categories for programs like Heat and Eat and LIHEAP. Heat and Eat is a relatively complicated program, but the short version is that they basically gave increased SNAP benefits to people who were getting assistance for their heating bills through heating bill assistance program is called LIHEAP. Well, of course, HEAP is not being funded right now, or they're running on fumes because of the government shutdown. So this only further compounds the problem. So you have families who are going to go without SNAP benefits, and they're not going to have access to money to pay their heating bills. And this is a good time for me to remind everybody that it's getting cold outside. If you made it this far in the video, don't forget to drop the secret words, "This is not an accident," in the comment section. Like, repost, and follow for updates. And you can also check out my new subscriber page, which is linked down below. And I'm going to do a subscriber-only live tomorrow where we talk about my working theory for the week. Now, remind yourself that the people that were writing this weren't just writing it, they're the people executing it. USDA Secretary Brooke Rollins is running the show. Remember that in July of 2025, Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill cut over $1 trillion from Medicaid and SNAP using the exact same strategy. And the Food Research and Action Centers say that hunger could jump by 25% nationwide as a result of those cuts. In other words, it's not a mistake, it's part of the plan. One staffer on the Hill said, Project 2025 isn't a wish list. It's the shutdown's dress rehearsal. Engineer scarcity, blame the dependents, and watch self-reliance bloom or starve. And guys, it didn't start with the shutdown. Remember back in the spring of this year, Trump canceled $500 million USDA food shipments. Cheese, butter, poultry, fruit, eggs, that was already bought for food banks. That's 94 million pounds of food. Enough for 80 million meals. Feeding America says that food bank supplies dropped by 35%, leaving many food banks with less than 2 weeks of reserves. And then add to that you have grocery prices on the rise, up by about 2.7%. So people are starving on purpose. And of course, Brooke Rollins went on Fox News and said that this is about redirecting resources to real priorities and ending endless handouts. Then came the government shutdown, where more than 12,000 federal workers were furloughed. Who were some of those people furloughed, you might ask? SNAP processors and food safety inspectors. The people who make sure that the families get the food. Means that, of course, furloughing them means that approvals slow down, enrollments drop, and benefits simply do not go out. Demand at food banks is jumping between like 20 and 50% in some states. Here comes the part that's really going to piss you off. Some states, the states that have reserves, are going to be able to pay benefits in November, and states that rely more heavily on federal funding, of course, they're not going to be able to pay. And in case you thought that you couldn't dump anymore, I'll direct you to the 10 October directive that Trump had sent out to USDA that told them not to release the $5 to $6 billion in SNAP emergency reserves, money that Congress had already approved for this kind of an emergency. And legally, those benefits are mandatory. This is why during the 2019 shutdown, the USDA continued to pay out benefits with no problems. This time, Trump is directing them not to pay benefits that Congress has already earmarked for those benefits. Of course, the USDA is coming out blaming this shutdown on Democrats. And basically now you have lawyers and Democratic lawmakers coming out and saying, no. Trump is breaking the law. This is illegal. He is telling the USDA not to issue funds to people so that he can use it as leverage against the Democrats to get them to reopen the government without making any concessions. So here we are, a government shutdown that was not a mistake, but yet part of a calculated plan. So for clarification, Project 2025 didn't just dream up benefit rollbacks and increased work requirements. It scripts furloughs, freezing emergency funds, and letting families fall through the cracks. Now you have 25 states saying that on November 1st, benefits will stop, as in will not be paid. Food banks rationing their last cans of food. I guess the only question left is how many empty plates before Congress or the courts step in? Or will, of course, negotiation become the hunger tactic of 2025? Let me know how you guys feel about our president that is supposed to be working for all the American people using hunger as a tool to strong-arm the Democrats into submission. You know how we all know that they're going to stop paying?
He's not lying, and I'm going to tell you all the tea that some white women gave me. Go to any predominantly white area and sit down at the dog park, and this is what will happen. They'll tell you everything. Couple examples. Depressed, miserable, drinking wine and taking Adderall every day. They're out here having affairs. Their husbands are having affairs. They got sick and their husband left them. Straight up left them at their bedside. There's a woman that lives in my neighborhood, and I feel so bad because she has chronic pain like I do. And her husband treats her like shit. Like bad. Very controlling. And there's multiple women in this neighborhood that have told me how badly their husbands treat them. Their white husbands. Now, on the flip side of that, there's tea that I heard from the white husbands. I worked in an office, and there was a group of frat bros. And I heard them say straight up, the only reason why I stay late in the office is so that I don't have to go home to my wife. There were days where we didn't even have to go into the office, like during COVID, and they would all text each other and go into the office and stay there from the crack of dawn till nighttime so that they could be away from their wives. Even my white manager sat me down one day because he knew I was single, and he said, Taylor, don't have kids. I don't even want to be around my wife. So, again, click the comment and you'll understand the backstory of all of this, which is being with a white man does not always equate to roses and daisies and sunshine. Just ask the white women, they'll tell you. He's not lying, and I'm going to tell you all the tea that some white women gave me. Go to
where did Islam come from? Actually, you can go a layer deeper. All right, so in Galatians 1, the Apostle Paul warns the Galatians. Remember, the Bible says that Satan will masquerade as an angel of light. The Apostle Paul warns the Galatians in Galatians 1:8. He says, but even if we, or an angel from heaven, should preach a gospel other than the one we preach to you, let them be under God's curse. So Paul is literally telling people, hey, watch out, because there's going to be angels that look like angels of light that come and they reveal false gospels, other demonic religions. Don't listen. It's going to be a curse, okay? Well, then you fast forward to 610 AD. Dude named Muhammad wanders into a cave, and guess what he says? He's like, man, it's real weird. I was in his cave, and an angel of light appeared to me and started revealing to me a new path to God. Everybody else got it wrong. It's literally the fulfillment of Galatians 1:8. An angel from heaven preached to him a different gospel, and that angel supposedly revealed to him the message of the Quran. That's exactly the fulfillment of the demonic warning from Galatians 1:8. So then, bro, you fast forward even more. Dude, this stuff gets, whenever you're talking eschatology, you're making your best biblically informed guess. So that's what I'm doing right here. It is interesting to me that in Revelation 20, it says there's going to be a whole bunch of Christians, and it doesn't say killed, it says beheaded. There is one religion in the history of the world that has gloried specifically in beheading as this form of execution of infidels in there, and it's Islam. Now I'll do one more. Jesus, in John 16:2, he's talking about the end times, towards the end of history. I'm going to read you exactly what he says. The time is coming when whoever kills you, talking to his disciples, will think he is offering service to God. Secularism is not the final threat. The final boss that will face Christians before the return of Christ is not atheism, it's not secularism. That says it will be another religion who they think that killing Christians, killing the people of God, is actually a service to their God. Wow. And that is exactly what Islam has historically prescribed. So then you start going, where did Islam come from?
We are co-creating with God. We are one with source. I don't care what anybody says, and I'm going to tell you why. I just read a study on campus, and I have to talk about this because this is so important. Some of you have heard of the study with cats. The cats were, from birth, raised in dark black rooms, but for a few hours a day, they took two groups of cats and separated them. One group of cats was put in a room for a few hours with horizontal lines, and the other group of cats was put into rooms with vertical lines. The group of cats, as they were raised, and they were exposed to real world, they were led into the real world. The group of cats that were exposed to the vertical lines could not see horizontal lines. So objects, horizontal objects, okay? So what this means is the vertical objects they could see, but they would not be able to perch themselves up on couches or tables or anything horizontal because they quite literally couldn't see it. Vice versa, the cats that were exposed to the horizontal lines were running into table legs and they were hitting vertical objects because they could not see it even though it was there. This is us. This is what's happening to us. This is what has happened to all of us. I need somebody to fucking hear this. When we are raised, we are like a sponge from 0 to 7. We're 0 to 7. We're absorbing everything within us, okay? All of it's being pushed inside of us. Ages 7 to 12, it's a little more, the windows are closing, things are shutting. By the age of 13, 14, we're done. Whatever has been programmed in us is essentially what's there, aside from traumas, heavy repetition, emotion. This is great news because our brains are malleable, which means we can change this. But it takes work, it takes time. But if you were exposed to an environment that talked poorly about money, that had a bad relationship with money, you quite literally will only see that outside of you because that's what's being filtered outside of you because that's what you were raised in. Holy shit. This is why I talk about, like when I talk about affirmations, my one buddy went in depth on this. But when you can say, if you say, I am rich, I am whatever, a million times a day, your brain can logically counter that and say, no, you're not because you don't have evidence for it. But the moment that you can continuously say, why does money keep showing up for me? Why do opportunities keep presenting themselves to me? Why? And you ask it that way, your reticular activating system begins to filter itself so that you can start to see it. Motherfucker. This has been in front of my face for years. I've been studying it for years, and this is what I mean by consciousness. You won't see it if you're not there. That's why you can't push it on people. It makes fucking sense because if a person wasn't raised to see it, they have no idea it's there. Oh my God, you guys, I have to start talking about this. Tomorrow I'm going to start breaking down the amygdala, the basal ganglia, the prefrontal cortex, because these things like fear, the amygdala, it starts shooting off, bam, bam, bam. And we think it's a bad thing, but growth on the other side of fear is an amazing thing because then when we can take a moment of pause and we can name our fear and we can look at our fear, that kicks in our prefrontal cortex and it quiets the amygdala. And it doesn't mean that the fear is gone. It just means that we can look at it from a different perspective. Bitch, I'm shitting myself. Oh my gosh. We are creating our realities with God. I don't care what anybody says. Holy shit. We are co-creating with God. We are one with source. I don't care what anybody says, and I'm going to tell you why. I just read a study on campus, and I have to talk about this because this is so important. Some of you have heard of the study with cats. The cats were, from birth, raised in dark black rooms, but for a few hours a day, they took two groups of cats and separated them. One group of cats was put in a room for a few hours with horizontal lines.
Our government is shut down, and it's not because of the Republicans or the Democrats. I had to dig to understand what a shutdown actually is, how it's supposed to work, and why this one feels different. Here's what I found. The U.S. government runs on money we, the people, give it. Congress's main job is to agree on how that money is spent, from the military to school lunches. When they don't agree, the law says the government can't spend. So parks close, workers go unpaid, food programs stall, and families suffer. A shutdown doesn't happen because the country is out of money. It happens because the people in charge of spending it refuse to do their jobs. A shutdown is meant to work like a harness on a dog, uncomfortable enough to pull the country back on course when it wanders off. But now it's being yanked like a choke chain, not to guide, but to punish. In a healthy government, a shutdown ends quickly because both sides care about the damage it causes. They continue to meet together until they find something that works for all of their constituents. This time it's different. Congress already reached a bipartisan decision. Both Democrats and Republicans negotiated and settled on a budget. The Senate passed it. The next step was a simple vote on the House floor to keep the government open, but Speaker Mike Johnson still hasn't brought it to the floor for a vote. Not because they're not in agreement, but because he's following orders. For some reason, the executive branch does not want Congress in session. That's not governing. That's hostage politics, holding the country's well-being for ransom to prove loyalty to one man. Meanwhile, the executive branch is breaking the law by using official government websites to post partisan messages, blaming Democrats for a shutdown both sides already agreed to end. Food programs like SNAP are running out of monies. Families, children are going to go hungry right before the holidays. None of this is about policy. It's about pressure, creating pain so people get angry at the wrong target. But we're being highly underestimated right now. We're keeping notes. We will not forget. This matters because the U.S. government is built on balance. Congress makes the laws, the president enforces them, and the courts make sure both follow the Constitution. But right now, that balance is being broken. Congress is being blocked. The executive branch is acting alone. So don't stay silent, because the courts are being tested to see how far silence will reach. The chaos isn't an accident, it's a tactic. When people are scared and confused, they stop asking questions. That's when power consolidates behind the curtain. But we are not scared, and we are not confused. We know exactly what's happening, and we're speaking up. It doesn't happen overnight, which is why we're here for as long as it takes. You don't need a law degree. You just need to ask 3 questions about every headline. 1, who benefits if I'm afraid right now? Is this meant to inform or manipulate me? Is the decision being made through law or through loyalty? Then act where your power counts. Vote, local and national. Call your representatives. Flood their offices until they remember who they work for. Talk to people calmly, clearly, factually, because the moment we start talking to each other, power can't play us against each other as easily. Here's a truth to pay attention to. This isn't about a budget. It's about whether the people still govern the government or whether the government now serves one man's agenda. Because a self-governing republic doesn't die in one night. It fades when ordinary people forget that they still matter. And that's the lie that this shutdown is built on, that you don't matter, but you do, and you always have. And the moment you remember that and act like it, hostage politics falls apart, because power only wins when the people forget that they get the last word. Our government is shut down.